All right, so as we go through these problems, they're all a bit different, right? And the longer you do this and the more practice you get with it, you can start to pick up like patterns and know which are the best ones to use or like best method to use. This format here, or this pattern, grouping is the best way to kind of deal with this. And you know that it's like a grouping problem, or you would want to maybe try grouping, is if it's 4 terms. And notice how it has kind of like a 1-to-3 ratio. Like here's a 1, right? There's a 1 there. 1-to-3, and then you have a 4 and a 12. That's got a 1-to-3 ratio too. So when you have 4 terms like this, and you can kind of, if you can pick up that ratio of that kind of common ratio between them, you can try grouping. So what we do is, for grouping, you pair these off together. Pair off the first 2, pair off the second 2. And within each pair, you want to look for the GCF. So like here in this one, the greatest common factor would be just the x squared. So we're going to take out the x squared, and you're going to be left with x plus 3. Now if you look at this one, what do they have in common? They have a 4 in common, right? And I want to take out a 4, but you also, if this is a negative here, you have to take out a negative 4, because we need to get, when we end up with the other factor here that we're taking stuff out of, we need it to match this. So when I take out a negative 4, I'm going to be left with x plus 3 again. You have to. These two have to match for grouping to work right. If you can't get this one to match, look back at your work, or it's just not able to be solved by grouping, which is the case sometimes, but in this case it works. Just be on the lookout for the negative. If this number is negative, this term, this third term in the line, take out the negative with it, and that changes this sign to a positive. Now these two go together. You got the x squared and the minus 4. What we're doing is kind of like we're reversing double distribution, right? If this were to distribute in, you get back to this. We take these out, and these two go together. And this repeating one, that's your second factor. It's not like it's a factor twice. It's just, this is kind of undoing foiling. X squared times x squared times 3, negative 4 times x, negative 4 times 3. And it gives you the 12. So it just kind of undoes the foiling here that would take these two to equal this. So from here, we can get our last couple zeros. This one, we have x equals negative 3. This one, I get x squared minus 4, and I'm just gonna, I could factor that, that's difference of squares, or just, solve it by the square root method. So you'd end up being that, and then this would be x equals plus or minus 2. Now you could have picked up these values just by graphing it. You would have seen all 3 of these and got it. But there's gonna be some where, grouping's a good way to use it when you, like with these two might not be on the graph. These could be like irrational roots. This would be the only one that would show up from the graph. So, it's good practice just to kind of, try the grouping even on one like this where you don't necessarily need it, because we could have seen all 3 of these in the calculator. But, it's a good method to practice, because they're not always going to be all in the calculator and all nice integers like these.